Good morning, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a great start to your morning so far, and hope you all are just having a great weekend. Me and my family are getting ready to go to church, but I want to provide an update on what is going on this morning, what the overnight models look like, and obviously what is the present situation for what looks to be redeveloping Fred and what's going on with Grace. We're going to talk a little bit more about Fred in this video because immediate impacts are here in the next within 24 hours. And then we're going to talk a little bit on Grace, and we're going to just watch models today and watch current trends and just present day views on what Grace looks like throughout the day, so we can try to figure out what Grace is going to do, because Grace looks very unorganized this morning, has looked very unorganized for the last 12 to 18 hours. But we're going to really focus on Fred here, as it looks like Fred is getting its act together. So if you guys have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I upload content every single day, and I try to keep y'all updated as much as possible. Thank y'all for the amazing support. Like the video if you like it. And like I said, content comes every single day, so I try to keep y'all updated as much as possible. I'm also a storm chaser, so I get out there and try to get in the nitty-gritty of things and keep y'all updated. So thank y'all for the support. I also want to mention my Twitter link is right here on my channel page. I'm very active on Twitter. If you're not a big Twitter person, perfectly cool. But if you are on Twitter, give me a follow right there. The link's right there. And I keep you updated almost hourly there, as opposed to YouTube. Obviously, I can't make a video every hour. That would be a lot of videos. Right now, this is the 8 a.m. update. Just came out here a few minutes ago. Still got Tropical Storm Grace at a 40-mile-per-hour storm. It has weakened some. Rightfully so, because it does not look that great. You also have Fred, which is still considered the remnants of Fred, but this will be updated back into a tropical depression, potentially a storm, potentially by the end of the day before the sun goes down. Fred really looks like it's getting its act together under some current conditions. It's still dealing with shear, but it also is in some favorable sea surface temperatures. Well, the Gulf of Mexico, let's be real here, is a bathtub. So even when you're dealing with shear, there's other promoting factors that's going to allow Fred to strengthen. I don't think it's going to rapidly intensify, but I still think there's an outside chance that Fred could become a very low-end hurricane, meaning it could barely cross over the threshold of being a hurricane, which is 75 miles per hour. Still think it has a good chance to become a moderate to strong tropical storm, but we'll watch it. There's also another area, 30% chance to develop here in the next 5 days, also a 30% chance to develop in the next 2 days. We're going to watch this. We're not going to talk much about this on this video, but this is going to do something very interesting and almost do a loop-de-loop here and circle around, and actually some guidance is showing that it may intensify. So let's get going here. We're going to talk about Fred. I want to mention that the airplanes are flying in the Fred right now, so we're going to get a little bit of data, but I have a feeling they're not going to find a lot right now. But when they go back in it later today, I think they will find some things. Fred is really starting to intensify. Not talking about like rapid intensification or anything, but check out a closer look of Fred. Most of its convection is centered to the east of what circulation there is. And this is going to be the life of Fred. That's what I'm talking about. So if you're in the panhandle of Florida, say the center of the storm goes over Pensacola, for example, then all the action, the worst weather, is probably going to be from Pensacola points east. You're not going to see much west of Pensacola. I'm just providing Pensacola as an example because that's the first city in the panhandle of Florida that just pops up in my head. So that's a good example. This is going to be a right heavy storm, easterly heavy storm. Elsa was the same way, and that is because Fred is not going to stop dealing with shear to its west and northwest. So it's going to basically split this storm convectively in half, and it's going to be favored all to the right side of the storm. So the worst weather is going to be on the east side of the circulation. And that's the case here, is it looks like the circulation is right in here. Check out the blow up in convection. It's actually having a little bit of swirl here. It's just based off looking at this at a bird's eye of what here satellite is starting to look like here. So briefly, I'll mention Grace. Grace looks like a tropical wave right now, to be honest with you. This is going to be a tricky storm. I mentioned on Twitter yesterday, I made a tweet saying this is going to be a learning experience for a lot of people, even the most experienced people out there, as far as knowledge on the weather. I think we're going to learn a lot from Grace. We're going to be talking about Grace for a while, I believe, and I think Grace is going to remain pretty weak as it's starting to affect areas, especially the southern areas of Puerto Rico. I don't have a good radar pulled up for this area, but I don't think the weather is too bad. But I really think this is going to move over the island of Hispaniola, and it's going to get shredded even more. And I think there's a good chance this might get downgraded to a tropical depression. But it has its eyes set on long-term on the Gulf of Mexico, and I really think it has a chance to redevelop there. Some guidance shows that. This is 96L Invest, that area way in the northern Atlantic that I was showing you. Some interesting guidance on this has it actually making it to tropical storm status. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll continue to watch it if the chances of it goes up. As far as it impacting anybody, chances are really low unless you're in Bermuda, which it's actually having a little bit of impacts. It's probably some swells, some bigger waves right now at this moment. So it's going to be interesting. Either way, I don't think it's going to be very impactful short term. Latest cone of uncertainty for Fred right now. Tropical storm watches up for the entire western panhandle. In fact, most of the panhandle of Florida. But you notice it hasn't making landfall around the early morning hours Tuesday around 2 a.m. In the far western areas of the panhandle of Florida. But you notice all the tropical storm watches are to the right of where it's expected to make landfall. And that's what I'm talking about as far as the worst weather being there. So right now, it's pretty much considered a remnants of Fred, but this is going to upgrade quickly today. In fact, I kind of think it's going to be a tropical storm Fred by the time I make another video this evening. I really do think so. So if you're in the panhandle of Florida, we're going to talk about some impacts now. If you're between Tallahassee and Mobile, Alabama, any cities in between that, you're going to potentially get some heavy rain, especially just west of Tallahassee. Any cities in this area, I can't think of all of them right off the top of my head, but if you're in this area of Florida, you're going to get several inches of rain, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain, potentially more in certain areas. And you're also, let's look at as far as peak surge, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet of surge in this area right here. Now, that's not catastrophic, no, but that's enough to visibly see storm surge, to erode a little bit of beach. But I don't think that's a huge deal with this storm. As far as tropical storm force winds, they have increased as far as who's going to see it. But still, the worst looks not very inland. But we're going to watch this because this could upgrade more inland here in the coming hours. This just goes out to around... Well, no, it goes out 120 hours. I'm sorry. I'm speaking a little bit too soon. But you notice the center of the storm is going to go like this. And there's a 40 to 50 to 60% chance that areas in the far western panhandle of Florida could see some periods of tropical storm force winds. There's also going to be a marginal, probably a tornado threat, and that'll probably be mentioned here in the next 24 hours, I'm sure, for the right side of the storm, which is favorable for tropical cyclones for tornadic activity, even with tropical storms. So we have to watch out for that. But if you're in this area of Florida right here, you're going to experience brief periods of tropical storm force winds, which is over 39, 40 miles per hour. And isolated bands that are stronger. So definitely expect that. Now, as far as the time frame, I haven't mentioned that much. That is kind of up in the air. I think it could be as early as beginning Monday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, evening, or as late as the worst weather moving in the wee hours of the morning Tuesday. We'll have to watch out for this area. But even if you're in the panhandle of Florida, this entire area right here, expect weather to really deteriorate as early as tomorrow morning, tomorrow early afternoon. And it's going to be some nasty weather. We'll briefly look at the track of Grace. Check it out. I'm not going to talk much on this, but it still hasn't maintained tropical storm status all the way through late week. But this is going to alter a lot. This is going to change a lot. It looks like it's taking more of a southerly track, but long term it could shift north. And I wouldn't be surprised if this right here knocks a little bit further south off some of the guidance I'm seeing this morning. But we'll take a look at Fred. Back to Fred. Here's Fred is for later this afternoon where it could be. Notice at 10:04 millibar storm, it's probably a tropical storm. Notice it deepens a little bit, which means it strengthens. And here it comes as early as Monday evening. The worst weather starting to move into the panhandle of Florida. Places like Alabama, it looks like it's ticked a little east. So it looks like we're starting to figure out where this is going to make landfall. It kept shifting west, almost to the point where it was looking like it was making landfall in the very small coastal areas of Mississippi. But since it's kind of like in the panhandle of Florida now. So it moves through, delivers a lot of rain, and it's going to deliver a lot of rain for areas in southeastern Alabama and western areas and southwestern areas of Georgia, including a marginal tornado threat. This is going to also promote a big-time moisture feed into the southeast with a stalled-out boundary. There's going to be a lot of rain even today for the southeast. So if you're in Carolinas, Georgia, a lot of rain today. This is the latest European model. Well, this is the OOZ run. I don't have the, it takes forever to get the 06Z run to get going. It takes about 8 or 9 a.m. But latest from overnight, just shows the swath of moisture moving in as early as tomorrow afternoon for the panhandle of Florida. Moves through. It doesn't look that intimidating on this, but does a good job of showing where their moisture is moving through. I want to show you the hurricane models really quick because these do a good job of kind of showing where all the worst weather is going to be. Now, I want to mention the hurricane models like the HWRF model, the HMON model. These are known hurricane models. They tend to be really aggressive. But in certain situations like this, I kind of like looking at these models because sometimes in these situations, in short term, they can do an okay job at showing how much a cyclone can intensify upon landfall. But check it out. We're getting into today, this afternoon. The storm is starting to strengthen. Notice this number is going down. So we got a 1001 millibar storm. It wants to take it sub 1,000 millibar storm, which would probably be a strong tropical storm. But look at this. As we're getting as early as late morning tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, look at these nasty bands wrapping in. Now, you notice there's not a lot of action on the west side. That is because this storm is being sheared to the west to the northwest. So unless you're on the center, points east, you're not going to see much action to the west. But these bands are going to be pivoting in Tallahassee, Pensacola, and areas of probably the western, the central areas of the panhandle of Florida. We'll notice if it ticks a little bit more east, then obviously more areas in the eastern areas of the panhandle of Florida are going to see impacts. But these are some nasty bands, and you see these feeder bands right here. These could have a tornado threat in them. You have to watch out for them. But the latest HWRF model has it making landfall as early as tomorrow evening in the next about 30 to 36 hours. Makes landfall, and this doesn't look like a huge storm, but a very isolated area is really close to these areas right here. They're going to get some nasty squally weather, scattered power outages, and a tornado threat, and a quick several inches of rain tomorrow afternoon and evening. So we have to watch out for this. Latest HWON model, same situation, but it strengthens it a little bit too much. This has it becoming a hurricane, 987 storm, and it looks more intense as far as the millibar drop to 989 low here. That is a nasty little eye wall coming in to the panhandle of Florida here. And I'd be shocked to see if this happened. But like I said, I'm not throwing out the possibility of a Category 1 hurricane. I'm not. You can't trust the eastern Gulf of Mexico this time of the year. You really just can't. So this is a very aggressive model, but this is the latest one. So we'll have to watch. We'll have to watch trends today. That's why I advise you to hit me up on Twitter, and I'll keep y'all updated if y'all already don't follow any well-known weather accounts. As far as the shear, this does a good job just showing the latest GFS, showing the shear on the west side of the storm. That's why there's not going to be a lot of action on the west side of the storm. That does a great job of showing the strong shear right here to the west and northwest of the circulation here. So we'll briefly talk about Grace. Sometimes I feel like I'm about to get the names mixed up. Well, we'll briefly talk about Grace. This is Grace right here. It gets shredded as you get into this afternoon. Then it moves over Hispaniola. Doesn't have a chance to develop. Grace did not take advantage of the previous probably 24 hours of a favorable time frame for development. It still has a little bit of time, but it doesn't have a lot of time anymore. It's starting to be affected by the Tut. It's starting to get hit by some southwest shear now, or westerly shear, and it's just struggling. It's going to continue to struggle. This is going to be a storm that I really think is going to deliver some rainy weather, some squally weather for all the greater Antilles. That means Jamaica, Hispaniola, Cuba, And then the energy is going to get into the Gulf of Mexico late this week, and then we have to watch for redevelopment here. But the latest few model runs, including the European, does not like this thing really getting going in the Gulf of Mexico. And you look at the latest Euro, this is the energy right here. You notice you don't really see anything really redevelop in the Gulf of Mexico, but this is the flux of moisture right here. So the latest GEFS models, it does show some strong members. In fact, it's probably a little bit of a stronger signal long term than its operational run. But you have some deepening storms, some strengthening storms getting into the Gulf of Mexico. But I will tell you that a lot of these want this to track in the southern areas of Texas, just Texas in general, or even Mexico. And I think the big reason of that is, and there's a strong signal for some nasty hurricanes potentially, well, a hurricane. But the big reason here is long term. Check out this ridge of high pressure that builds over basically the North Atlantic and eastern U.S. Right here, it builds in right as tropical development is starting to move into the Gulf of Mexico. So this is not going to allow it if this is the current pattern in place late this week. And that's not going to allow it to really curve unless you have a strong system right here. Then it can curve a little bit more. I think a stronger system can control its own destiny a little bit more, if you will. But that's a strong ridge of high pressure that's probably going to push anything out there into the Western Gulf. So that's all I got, guys. I'll keep y'all updated. Follow me on Twitter. I'll keep y'all updated on there throughout the day. And y'all have a great and blessed day. And I'll have you an update later this afternoon.